Today's episode is brought to you by our partnership with Zero Highway. Want to turn your pet's Instagram into a moneymaker? Zero Highway teaches pet parents exactly how to grow and monetize their pet's account. Her new course, Profit My Petstagram, is launching soon, and it's guaranteed to help you make money in 30 days or less. VIPs get 50% off and exclusive bonuses, so don't wait. Head to @ZeroHighway on Instagram and sign up today. Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk, the podcast where pet parents, pet guardians, and pet professionals come together to dive into real issues in dog parenting. From controversial training methods to sensitive health topics, we're getting raw and real about what it means to care for our canine companions. Join us every Wednesday for unfiltered conversations, expert insights, and personal stories that will make you laugh, cry, and grow as a pet parent. No topic is off limits and no question goes unanswered. You won't get one perspective here. You'll get them all because every dog is different and every human is too. You can follow along on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Straight Up Dog Talk or by visiting www.straightupdogtalk.com. Tune in from any of your favorite podcast platforms.
This week, we have Sarah from Zero Highway. She's here to talk to us about all things photography, content creation, and Instagram influencer plus dog mom life. How are you doing tonight, Sarah?
So good. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You have such a fun story, and I can't wait to just jump in and tell everybody about it. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, a little bit about Zero, and just day-to-day life.
Yeah. Well, this is something that has been in the back of my mind for a couple of years to grow a Dogstagram account. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk more about our journey and how we got to this point and how turning your hobby into your passion, into money in your pocket. That's something I have experience in, and I've done it more than once, and I am excited to share my journey with other people. So thank you for having me. In 2010, I got my first camera. I picked up a camera after my mother had passed away. After a battle with leukemia, I was only 23. It was very devastating and it changed my life. It changed everything. So I picked up a camera because I lived in an area that I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't grow up here. I moved here. I live in Michigan. I'm from downstate Michigan, but I now live up near the Traverse City area, which is northern lower Michigan. For those who want to look on the back of your left hand, it's by your pinky thumbnails. That's where I live. And so we spend a lot of time outside hiking and biking and doing all of that fun stuff. But I didn't have a lot of friends when I moved up here. I honestly moved up here to make friends and to start a life that I knew I wanted to live. And so picked up this camera after my mom died and decided that I wanted to do photo shoots for people I felt a little bit more confident behind a camera trying to make a friend as an adult. It's hard to do that, by the way, making friends.
It is.
And I worked at a newspaper, our local newspaper. I was in marketing and advertising sales for 10 years before I went off on my own and started my own photography business. So I picked up that camera in 2010 and then started my business in 2011, all while still working at the newspaper. And then I started my photography business going full time with that in 2017. And then at that point, I was able to go full time because I had built reputation around my town as being a local photographer that loves to take pictures. And I picked up that camera because I was working to avoid the spiral of depression. I needed to make friends. I needed to get myself out of the house. Otherwise, it would just be really easy to curl up into a little ball in the corner and not do anything. Well, after losing my mom, this was my inspiration to just keep going. And I knew that she wouldn't want me to stop my life. And I needed to get out there and make friends and make connections with people and find love. And it was kind of one of those things where I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be living a miserable life. I wanted joy. I wanted beauty. And so my job became putting myself purposely in the way of that. And I know that that's kind of a thing from a Reese Witherspoon movie now, but that was way before that movie came out. The whole put yourself in the way of beauty thing, it really makes a difference when you're grieving. So making connections, finding love in everybody and Looking for the silver linings was what kept me going. So I started the photography business to the point where I had a big enough reputation. I went full time in 2017. My husband came on with me in 2020, right after the pandemic hit. And the reason we were able to do that was because I panicked when all of my weddings started leaving in 2020. It was very scary, and it scared me enough to hire somebody to help me because I didn't know what I was doing. And it was very clear that other people were still surviving and I was not, and I didn't know what to do, and other people knew. Other people had the answers, and I didn't need to reinvent the wheel. I just needed help getting a system and not throwing stuff at the wall and trying to see what stuck. So I was strategically fed an ad in May of 2020 that was like, are all your weddings leaving you? Are you refunding all of these retainers? And now you don't know if you're going to be able to continue work. It was like he spoke to my biggest fears and my biggest pain points and the things that were happening to me at that time. And I was like, yes, those are all the things that are happening to me right now. Do you have the answer for me? And he really did. So he helped me in May of 2020. This mentor that I hired, his name is Peter. He changed my world. He flipped everything upside down while everybody else was having their weddings leave left and right, which I was too. The ones that I had already booked, they either rescheduled or canceled or rethought what their plans were going to be. And while everybody else was kind of panicking, I was booking out 2021 and 2022 because this guy helped me get deadly with marketing, just helped me learn the systems of what I needed to do and stop doing things that don't matter, stop doing things that don't move the needle. You're wasting your time doing this. Like, he really helped me hone in my process and my daily regimen and what I need to do in order to make a 6-figure year, which is honestly what you need as an independent. You need to be making that in order to survive, because taxes and expenses and running a business the right way, the equipment that we use is tens of thousands of dollars. When things break and we have to replace them, and the amount of travel that I have to do, I know that 6 figures sounds like a great number, but let me tell you, after everything, you have to be making that as an independent person to be able to do it right, to give people the experience that they deserve to have for their weddings. So my husband and I are wedding photographers mainly. We've traveled all over the world. We got married in Jamaica in May of 2022. John was able to come on full time in June of 2020 because I was able to hire this mentor who changed my world. And then we realized that we were never going to have to worry about where our next paycheck was coming from. We knew exactly what systems we needed to deploy to get the next wedding on the books or the next work on our books. So that was June of 2020. He came on full time. And then by October of 2020, we had been together for 7 years and he proposed. So then a couple of years later, in May of 2022, we got married. We wanted to wait for a pandemic to be as far away as possible. We pushed our engagement out for a while so that we could, number one, save for our wedding, and number two, be able to include our friends and family and not have to have a smaller version of what we really wanted for our wedding. All of this time, we have 2 cats. And our dog, Clover, I had her since 2008. And she had been through everything with me, my mom passing, and then a couple of years later, my dad passed. I was young. I was in my 20s. She just really held me together through some of the most tumultuous times of my life. And she traveled everywhere with us that she could. Anytime we did a road trip for weddings, for work, anything like that, she was always with us. It was just so much fun to have her there. We have a camper that we would use to go across the country, that we still use to go across the country. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. And she was an old gal, but she traveled so well and it was easy. She was not a puppy by any means. So we got married in May of 2022, and then August of 2022, she passed, and the grief was just overwhelming. I felt like I had lost a real family member. This didn't feel like just some pet. Some people don't see it that way or don't feel that way. It affected my health. It affected my work. It affected my life. And it was so hard to keep going. She died on August 10th of 2022, and it was devastating, and we didn't see it coming, and that we didn't have hardly any time to say goodbye to her. It was just very traumatic. It was a very traumatic loss. And at that time, my husband's parents had put a deposit down for a Springer Spaniel puppy on a litter that was being born in August. And they had the deposit down for a while. In the back of my head, I'm like, there's no way. It's going to break my heart to go over to their house and see this puppy, and I'm going to be so sad. And about a week before they went to pick his sister up, they're like, there's few puppies left if you want any. And I'm like, I don't think I can love again. I don't think I can ever love another dog the way that I love Clover. And she lit up my life. And in the meantime, during all of this, we've got weddings every weekend, and we've got senior shoots, and we've got family photos, and I'm trying to keep this happy face, and I'm drowning in grief and sadness. And I am doing the thing that I love, and I'm still drowning in grief and sadness, and I'm having a hard time pulling myself together. I'm coming through, of course, for my clients, but just drowning in sad. And it's really hard to put on that happy face when you're feeling that way. So fast forward to October of 22, it's a week before his parents are going to pick up their puppy. And I casually said, well, should we just go look and see if we can connect with one of these puppies? It's 2 hours away. We're going to go take a drive down. And by the way, we have shoots every day. We have to somehow find a time to go see this puppy. I don't have time for this. I'm resentful. I'm feeling like this thing is taking up all of my time and energy that I don't even have. And it's the middle of our busy season. And what are we doing? What are we doing? This is bonkers. And then we get to go see him, and he nibbles on my cheek and bites my hair a little bit. I'm like, I love it, but I hate it. He's so cute, and I'm so heartbroken. I didn't know how I was going to love this little thing, and he deserved it. And I felt like, what if I can't? I was worried. I had never had a puppy before. Clover was my first dog. So I was worried that I wasn't going to be sufficiently motherly enough for this perfect little thing that deserves it. But of course, within minutes of him being in our car, and before we even had him home, I had an Instagram made for him, because in the back of my head, I'm like, if I don't have somewhere to outlet all of these pictures that I know I'm going to take, I'm just going to flood my photography page, and it's going to end up being a dog page. And I need it to be a business page.
I get that. Due to a technology fail, 98% of my pictures of my first 3 dogs.
No.
And that is why I started an Instagram and started posting Toby and Fitz, because I wanted to make sure that I had a way to remember the funny little things they do, talking or begging for food or throwing temper tantrums, or the amount of time we spend out in the yard playing fetch, all the things, because I lost all of those things from my previous dog. It is kind of a therapeutic release for me to be able to be like, oh, let me create this. But now I'm sharing dog training content along with the podcast content, and it's been a lot of fun. To your point about like the grief and getting another dog, it's different for everybody, right? When Cajun died, I had just adopted Toby 8 months before, and I wasn't prepared. Cajun's death was quick, dramatic, all the things as well. And I don't think that I would have gotten another dog for a while, because Cajun was it. He was the dog. And then here's Toby. Toby is that bridge dog. He took me from Cajun now into Fitz, and Fitz is like Cajun all over again, which is so wild to me, because I always was like, I'm never going to be able to love another dog like this again. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, my connection with Fitz is just as intense as it was with Cajun. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, like G, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, because Zero was actually, and I didn't realize this. We brought him home in October, and I didn't realize this till around Thanksgiving. He was born on the day that Clover died.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, they're nothing alike. I mean, they are in some ways, but they're two totally different dogs. But I have this vision of them like just slapping paws on the other side, and Clover giving Zero the rundown of like, okay, this is how you make her happy. This is how you make her sad. Don't do these things. They're 2 very different dogs, but I think that she had a talk with them.
I'm glad that you said that, because I've made this reference before to A Dog's Purpose. I don't know if you've seen that movie or read that book, but it's the same dog that comes back, but he's a little bit different every time. The dog has to fit your needs at your time of your life. And I truly think that like my first dog as a child, Vince, was Cajun, is now Fitz. And yeah, it's just like pass the baton somewhere. They're like, okay, you're going to have to pivot here a little bit, but this is what she needs and it'll be all good. So, yeah, I think that it's so crazy how, if you're looking, like you said, put yourself in the path of beauty, you will find the thing that is right for you. And when I got Toby, I was going through some pretty serious stuff. I was still recovering from my brain and spinal surgery and going through a divorce, moving to a different state, all those things. And I just needed a dog that would be comforting and chill and whatever. And Toby is all those things. And I can actually, the listeners can't see, but you can see. Here he is right here on my lap, hanging out. He's just like, okay, mom needs me right now. So he's here, this is outside chewing on his ball, and that's fine. He can do his own thing.
Independent boy.
No, most of the time, but if you let him stay outside versus having to be inside, he will choose to be outside.
Much
Love that.
Much
I
happier.
love that. My gosh. Besides the photography business, now you've delved into the Instagram creator world, which it started out as kind of this is my way to memorialize my dog, but it's grown into so much more than that. So I'm guessing you took some of those marketing skills and applied them to your Instagram, which has clearly worked for you.
Yeah, we have 32,500 followers. It's 32,400 and something followers right now. What the goal is and was and will continue to be is I am working on this Instagram for Zero. Originally started the Instagram for him as a grief mechanism. And then in addition to having that be a creative outlet, I also in the back of my mind, which I think a lot of animal parents in general, those who start an Instagram for their animal, I think most of us have in the back of our mind, my dog is so cute. He does just the cutest things ever. And I can get some pretty good videos of it and pretty good pictures of it. I bet you I could get some sponsors. I feel like a lot of people who started Instagram for their dog are like, yeah, my dog is so cute. They could get sponsorships. If I just knew how to do that, right? So I already have this marketing mind. I was doing a lot of business to client sales. I still do a lot of business to client sales for my photography business. But I also do a lot of business to business sales, a lot of commercial work, a lot of branding. And I have people contact us who are selling an item on Amazon that they need professional photos with a white backdrop, or they need certain specifications for an Amazon listing or Etsy listings, things like that. Definitely do that kind of stuff. Website photos, that kind of thing, headshots, all that kind of stuff. So that is not something that I do a ton of advertising about, but it is something that I do and that people reach out to me for, and they know, especially locally in my area. I know what people pay for commercial work. And so I kind of came into this knowing trade is not enough. Like, there is usually some amount of trade that I will do just because like doing good things for good people. And I think that there are certain situations where trade is okay and where it makes sense. But I came into this with a little bit of a different perspective because I have been in the creative industry for so long. And I do know that it's important to stay above water when it comes to your costs of doing business. And there was a time when I didn't know what to charge and when I didn't know what my work was worth, and I didn't know how these clients and companies would be using my pictures and videos. So I would just do whatever they needed, and then they get to reap the benefits of my great work. So I wanted to make sure that anything that I did made sense for the company that would be working with us for any of Zero's sponsorships, but that it also, made sense for the company, but that it also made sense for us. So everybody needed to be winning in these situations. With all that said, never really did a ton of marketing to get a lot of business to business work. I've always been kind of a business to client relationship. I feel like I thrive well in personal environments and creating connections and relationships with people. So I wanted to be able to continue doing that. This all started October of 2022 and just kind of posted randomly, and things that made me happy and things that made me laugh. And I heard audio on Instagram that I thought was funny. I would make a 30-second video about it, and whatever. I'd make anything that just made me laugh and made me feel good. And I started reaching out to companies because I was making content that was making me laugh and making me feel good every day. I was doing it every day, multiple times a day sometimes. And I was reaching out to companies that I could write an email to and just say, hey, I'm posting regularly. If you want him to be wearing one of your little coats or hats or something, you send it to me and send me an extra one. We'll do a giveaway. It was just my energy that was behind it already that really stuck out, I think, to a lot of these people. I went out of my way to find out who I needed to actually be talking to and not just DMing a random account and copy and paste. I was actually finding email addresses to marketing people on websites and reaching out to the people that I needed to and saying, here are my actual numbers. Here's what I can do for you, and making it about them and what the benefit is to them. Because I think too many influencers or dog influencers, whoever, come at it like, well, what's in it for me? When really we are the vehicle for these companies to serve an audience, and their goal is to ultimately make more money and sell stuff. Right? So if they have a product or a service that they're promoting, they are doing it through influencers that can give them numbers and not just what it has to be a tangible thing that they can see this benefiting them. I was reaching out with hard numbers to people and telling them, this is my engagement rate. I may only have 800 followers right now, but I'm tracking 50 new followers a day for the last week, and I anticipate that to be growing to a bigger number every day because I'm being consistent. I'm a consistent poster. I was able to at first do a few giveaways and do a few brand sponsorships that were good knowledge for me, and then we went into the summer season and I slowed down because weddings. And then it would have been summer of 23, kind of slowed down on my posting, picked back up in the fall of 23 a little bit. And then in the winter of 24, just 9 months ago, I decided this was going to be the year that I figured out how to really monetize Zero's account. Because I sell thousands of dollars in wedding photography packages because I know what I'm worth and I know what kind of a job we do and how thorough we are and what the client gets out of it. It's no problem for me to sell an $8,000 wedding package. That just is no big deal. So if I feel that way about $8,000 wedding packages and I have a system for making that happen, there's going to be a little bit more of a different system that I can use to create sales that are $100 or less, $500 or less. If I figured out that 6-figure income comes from selling $174 a day or something like that, so it's less than $300 a day in something that you need to sell. If you are really truly serving and giving and providing value and giving deep insight and giving all the information that somebody would need to know on a certain topic, then they will pay $100 to find out what those things are and get going. And as long as you are being honest and being straightforward about what is in your product, I have learned how to create digital products on a storefront for dog parents who want to learn how to create digital products. I know it kind of sounds like a big loop, right? But a lot of people don't know how to start an LLC, how to set up a business storefront, how to create content that actually gets traction, how to reach out to brands that need to have content created for them, and how to get paid for that. These are all things that people don't know how to do, and I do. I know how to do this stuff. I have cracked some codes, I've figured some things out, and I have created some guides to help people learn how to do that stuff.
I still don't know how to do all this stuff. And I'm over here running a podcast and a dog training business, and I still have no idea what I'm doing.
Learning all the time, right? And I'm still iterating and learning and coming up with game plans and all of that. It's a constant learning process for sure. But there are some key things that you can take away from this thing that I've created with Zero, having 32,000 followers. I have figured out that people interact with content that is relatable and funny, or it just makes you feel something in general. It's not just some fluff. People interact with and follow content that makes them feel something strongly, not just little emotions, but like they connect with the big emotion stuff. Probably the first reel that I ever had go semi-viral was a reel of Clover and Zero, highlighting the fact that Clover passed away on the day that Zero was born and that I hadn't realized it. I wrote a really long, just heartfelt caption. And this was before I had figured out that I really wanted to monetize Zero's account. I poured my heart out. It was a short reel. It was a trending sound. I didn't realize that that was something that was necessary to kind of go far. It just all lined up. And I was like, whoa, this is getting hundreds of thousands of views on it. Kind of wondered why. Then I started being like, why is this doing so well? Do content all the time. Why did this blow up and other stuff didn't? That was like November of 23. And I caught on it for a little while and I was like, why is this happening? And I just started observing. I started following other dog accounts that were doing really, really well. I think a lot of us do that, follow bigger dog accounts to see what's going on and why are they doing really well. And then you try and recreate what they're doing and you get 4 views. That wasn't working for me. I was feeling pretty discouraged because a lot of other dog accounts make longer form videos that do really well. And I don't know why that wasn't working for me. It wasn't. And so I started paying attention to things that worked well for others, but also seemed pretty attainable for me to do. Pretty easy B-roll. Personally, as of right now, I still have this full-time job that I love doing, that I don't plan on stopping. Want to eventually be a full-time dog mom, and we could take maybe 5 weddings a year in the Bahamas. I would love to be at that point, I suppose, but it's not really the goal. The goal is to just have a work and life balance. So went into this last winter thinking my goal is to learn the ins and outs and the structure of the system that would sell $300 a day worth of digital products and services that I can create one time that thousands and thousands of people around the world can benefit from. And a lot of people have purchased my guides. I am really proud to say we have clients all over the world that have used our guides to create Dogstagram accounts for their dogs and or cats. We have cats and horses and all kinds of people who have made Instagrams for their pets and learned the skills of being able to reach out to brands and get brand deals, but then also the systems for creating digital products and promoting those instead of promoting physical products. So there's all different kinds of routes that people can take when it comes to monetizing an Instagram for your dog. There's sponsorships and commercial work and videos, creating content for companies, but then there's also generating your own income from your own products. And I have found personally that digital product is a whole lot easier to move than a physical product. Obviously, a whole lot more comes with having a physical product. So having something that is digital that is also mind-blowingly helpful and puts some perspective into things, and then also gives you the opportunity at the end to be able to get on a call with me and clarify, what do you mean by this? Help me get into this mindset. What do you mean by that? Conversations that I had with my mentor changed my life. And I know there's a lot of skepticism when it comes around to influencing and what all is involved with that. But when it comes down to it, if you know 10% more than somebody else about a certain topic, you have information that other people need. And if you can get past the imposter syndrome of, I actually do know what I'm talking about in certain topics. I don't know everything about everything. And you can be clear about that. But what I do know is there are systems in Instagram that you can use to be able to promote a product, grow a following on your Instagram, but also grow an email list and have a digital storefront where you can teach people how you have grown your Instagram, your email list, your digital storefront. You can teach all of these things to other people once you know how to do them, but you can't teach them until you know how to do them. I took a lot of time over this winter to really study and observe what other people did that got a lot of traction, not just in the dog community, but all around, and then specifically honed into what worked well with the animal pet community. And it's not just dogs, it is cats and birds and horses and all of it. All of this is applicable to your animal, to your pet. So I have different guides that teach you how to do different parts of running an Instagram. There's the growing your Instagram side. I can teach you how to make reels with certain attributes that are going to get a lot of traction, that's going to help you reach a wider audience of people that are interested in what you're posting about, which is your dog or your cat or your bird or your horse. So I have a bunch of free guides that help people learn those skills. And then once they know those skills, I have paid guides that teach them how to monetize those skills. So they get to learn how to make the creative stuff for free and learn what kind of programs I use for those, how I set up my creative plans for the week. In the making, I have a 30-day Dogstagram boot camp that's coming.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be really helping you track exactly how well my advice is going to work for you. It's something I experimented with my husband over the spring, really figured out what I was doing. And I told him, I think this will work for anything. And he's a big fisherman. So he started an Instagram around fishing and being an outdoorsman. And within the first month, he had 6,500 followers.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I'm right side by side with him, it was really easy to be like, no, don't say that, do this, do that. And so I do know what I'm talking about, right? It was something that became very apparent that it's not just dogs or whatever. I have these theories that are deeper ground into what the Instagram algorithm does. I think a lot of people dread the algorithm and it takes the blame away from ourselves of making content that isn't resonating with other people.
There are changes in the algorithm and it can be kind of a bummer. I've had weeks where I've done pretty well for me and I'm getting between 1,000 and 3,000 views. I'm happy with this. And then plummet to 200 views. And I'm like, what the heck just
What did I
happened?
do?
And sometimes it can be really, really frustrating. So I think
yeah.
it's really important that we have people like you out there who are willing to help teach people like me and the listeners, because a lot of us are struggling. We don't know what we're doing and we're trying our dang hardest to figure it out, but it's not always the easiest thing to do. And I think that gatekeeping is such a huge problem in this industry. I don't disagree with having to pay for information, but I also like that on your account, you do give tips and tricks in your reels that are helpful, that may not give the full picture, but they start you in the right direction. And I love that.
Your mind in the right mindset. Yes, definitely. Totally. And I feel like that's the thing is people have to go into it with the mindset of, okay, I am going to be an open book. I am going to be learning whatever is coming into me, absorbing this information, because yes, it's one thing to read what I'm saying, but it's another thing to implement what I'm doing. Hard if you have a certain strategy where I just want to post what makes me happy, and that's great. And I think that there's a place for that. I did it for a really long time. And then my mindset shifted and everything changed when I started making content that served others, that served the joy for others. And it still brought me joy. I'm not saying that, but I started making content that others would share. I started noticing, what am I sending to my BFF? Because we both have dogs and we're both dog people and we both completely obsessed with our dogs. She's obsessed with my dog. I'm obsessed with her dog. So I started recognizing, what am I sending to her? I just kind of went back through my messages and was like, this is super relatable. It's short. It's funny. It had a punchline. There was something about this that stood out that made me send this. This was relatable. This was funny content. I even liked it and I commented on it too, because it was just so natural for me to do it. I think the best content doesn't even say like, follow, comment, share. It doesn't even have to say it. People just do it because it is natural for them to want to, because it's relatable and it is something that you don't have to ask people to share it. They just naturally are like, gosh, I got to show my friend. I got to send this to my husband. I got to send this to my best friend. They're going to get a kick out of this. So that kind of funny stuff or emotional things, people relating to loss, with the one that went really viral with Clover. People were commenting on it. Oh, my heart. I wasn't expecting to cry today. Well, I wasn't either. I had to get that out. I had to get that reel out. That was an emotional one. Typically, I find that my best reels are 5 to 7 seconds long. I use early trending audio, which if you don't know what that is, I have a really good freebie download that people can go check out and learn more about what early trending audio is and why I use it and what the purpose of it is. But essentially, there are different pages. If you are adding an audio to a reel that is not your own, you can go search through original audios and see what's trending and what's not. And when I say early trending audio, I'm talking like it's been used less than 1,000 times. It's really hard to get Instagram to feed you that stuff. So if you don't get fed early trending audio, I do. I have trained the algorithm to do that, to send it to me. So you can always come to Zero's page to find early trending audio. I have been on a bit of a hiatus this summer, just for being able to keep my work-life balance and being able to continue to serve our wedding and photography clients really, really well. The goal with Zero's, like learning how to grow and monetize an Instagram this winter, I achieved that. I figured that out. And now this next winter is going to be where I really hone it in. So I am currently in the throes of wedding photography right now. But once that slows down and I have all of next year booked out and our quiet little town gets covered in snow, that's when I will be sinking my teeth into how I'm going to make this a regular part of our income that I don't to be so hands-on with, and that I can automate some of the work that I'm manually doing. I'm looking to hone in my systems, and I know that there are people out there that do it, and I know that making $300 in a day is not an impossible task, especially if there are ads involved. If you know how to master paid advertising and making funnels and building an email list and then having emails going out to people and then having content creation come in regularly, nurturing an audience that's already there. Like, that is kind of the key that I'm looking to unlock over the next winter, is to just really figure out how to get consistent rapport with my audience and still be able to connect with them personally, but hopefully doing a little bit more on the live side of things. I was doing lives all winter this year, and that was a lot of fun, and I want to figure out how to keep that going. All of the features of Instagram really are what make it so unique. And TikTok too, I just have not delved into. I know that I could and should, but I feel like once I master one thing, this is something that my mentor taught me. You can't try and do it all really, really well, or else you're going to be doing it all like kind of not great. So if you do one thing really, really well and learn how to master that one thing, then you can take what you learned from that and translate that to another platform while being able to give an SOP, which stands for standard operating procedures, to somebody else to help you with that. So here's the big secret behind a small business. You can't do it all yourself. It's just impossible. I don't know what I would do without some of the people who work for me as a small business to be able to deliver clients their galleries on time, their albums on time. I can't do it all. When I worked at the newspaper, there were reporters, there was a receptionist, there were sales agents, there were all different kinds of positions there because one person can't do it all to make a product at the end of the day. I learned to relinquish some of my own duties. So that's what I'm looking to do over this next winter, is figuring out where the sweet spot is when it comes to income versus outsourcing certain tasks and automating and paying for services for certain tasks. So that's my goal for this winter. And then once we find the sweet spot there, ramping up and getting eyes on content and helping as many people as possible. The goal is to help people figure out the same things that I'm figuring out and how to help them be able to create an income stream like what I'm doing from posting videos of your dog.
Which is awesome. I am so excited to see where you go and so excited to continue to learn from you. We are just about to run out of time here for this episode, but is there anything that you would like to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, I think the thing that I want to impress the most is just that if you feel like you are stuck and you want to grow an Instagram for your dog, first of all, step back and ask yourself, why do I want to do this? What are my goals? Am I stressing myself out for no reason? Or do I have actual goals that I'm subconsciously really hoping that I am able to monetize an Instagram for my dog? And if you come to that conclusion, that the reason you're stressed out about why these things aren't performing well is because you want to monetize, but it's not working. There are other people out there. I just want to put this out. There are other people out there who are doing it well and making tens of thousands of dollars every month. The reason why I'm so motivated to do it is because I know that there are other people out there doing it, making tens of thousands of dollars a month because they have systems in place and things that they do every single day. And because I am living proof that this is something that's possible, I know previous experiences that if you just have systems and things that you do every day and just cut out everything else, I know that these systems can be honed. Because I've done this in my photography business before, I have the experience to know that there is someone else out there who is crushing it on Instagram, selling digital products, teaching other people how to do it. And that's what I want for myself. I want to be teaching other people, helping other people, and making money while I'm doing it. So that's the goal for over this winter. And the takeaway is, if you don't know what you're doing, somebody else does. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Go get help. Stop torturing yourself.
Yes, exactly. Sarah, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me, and we will see you guys next week on Straight Up Dog Talk.
Straight Up Dog Talk was created by Emily Breslin. It is edited and produced under the supervision of Straight Up Dog Talk, LLC, and Emily Breslin. If you're enjoying this podcast, follow or subscribe, and be sure you don't miss an episode. And leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Looking for more honest and relatable dog content? Check out our sister show, Unpacked, with Jerry Sheriff and Madison Simpson. Thanks for listening to Straight Up Dog Talk. See you next week.